Trans Consulting, transformative radical action necessary for change and evolution. Dreams to be a hub at the intersection of empowerment and artivism. El Halo is an award-winning activist, community organizer, and resource navigator. She is a storyteller and a creative. She uses these gifts as an event host, entertainer, facilitator, and moderator, social media curator, and content creator. Elle has dedicated her life to building equity through visibility for QT PLC and continues to build towards lasting impact in the community. The Paris Tika Mahone Memorial Transition Fund exists to build a better future for the queer and trans people of color of Milwaukee, beginning with providing free facial laser hair removal treatments for Black trans women in collaboration with Sheba Sisters Helping Each Other Battle Adversity and Diverse and Resilient. We hope to offer financial assistance for all trans-affirming care, transition-related procedures, and one day, with your help, provide support for trans-affirming surgeries. The future of the fund will be a garden and art installation in the city of Milwaukee. This is a legacy piece for our community dedicated to Paris Tika Mahone and Ronnie Grace. The fund hopes to be here to support future generations of queer and trans people of color. The fund stands to tell the stories of trans and LGBTQ hate crimes, anti-trans murder, HIV and AIDS awareness, infant mortality, gun violence, fentanyl-related deaths, suicide, youth suicide, sickle cell anemia, long-term COVID, rare lung disease, diabetes, and to honor our lost elders. You can support the Transition Fund by contacting El Halo at elhalo@gmail.com or by donating to Love on Black Women with the word trans or the trans flag emoji in the description. Baby, I could not go to sleep without talking about what we're going to talk about. It's been a minute for my podcasting. I'm not going to be on here long. Shoot. Sorry. I'm not going to be on here long. Necessarily. I might even invite some people up. I don't know if maybe people that watch might be interested in that. For some reason it won't let me share the live outside of my friends, but that's fine for right now. Obviously today we saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The first thing that I want to say, is just the state of the world that we're in and the place that we're in right now, and the emotional toll, the spiritual toll, the weight of the moment. And I really want to advise people to stay off of Twitter for the next few days, probably, if you don't want to see the video on repeat. I take issue with us watching that level of violence spiritually. And it's something I've said multiple times before when there have been shootings or footage, particularly George Floyd. That's just the first thing. It's just, if you don't want to see it on repeat, like myself, I don't want to see that on repeat. Maybe stay off of Twitter. I'm gonna like look for some news clips and play some clips. I saw some things. I watched some news since I've been home and things. I saw it right before I ran out
And so honestly, it really was just a white man. I really didn't know. I know who Charlie Kirk is, but I really didn't know who it is, or like definitely don't follow this person. He was just another white man to me. Um and I saw it, and when I saw it, I was seeing people beginning to talk about it online, and then I saw the video on the same post that they were talking about it without like a content warning. Um I didn't process it when I first heard it. When I first watched it, I didn't really think about it. I was headed out the door, and um, when I did, when we got done this evening, I when I did like kind of process it, I'm like, oh my god, not at all. For this person who is a big, I really don't even want to continue to say his name, because again, this is not somebody I really am that familiar with their work. I'm really not that familiar, other than knowing that he's one of the main MAGA people, and so I also don't want to over glorify his platform as people and conservatives and all those kind of people are doing by even saying his name. I don't even want to say his name no more while I'm doing this, but obviously that is who we're talking about. That's the event that we're talking about. And I more so want to talk again, like I said, about the state of the world and the chaos in this country. I want to talk more about what safety is and can look like for people that look like us, in particular trans people. When he was killed, his last statement was a statement about trans people, about Black trans people. Um, and so I'll get into like the details and all of those things, but I just want to say that we have to be hyper vigilant in this time, and we have to really, really take it serious and really, really understand that both the systems of power and the cult MAGA movement is really against us right now. And, you know, in levels and in ways that we've not seen since um, the Rodney King riots, or, you know, the civil rights movements, or Tulsa, or communities that were terrorized by white supremacy, that we have come to learn about through history, or come to learn about almost like urban legends. And, it's intersectionality amongst the issues. You have what they're trying to platform on the right, which is the um, First Amendment, gun rights, um, those things. And of course, you have the war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine. You have Black trans women and Black people being killed in this country every day. Um, you have the National Guards being deployed in Chicago, in DC. They have named Milwaukee as a city where the National Guard will be deployed. This is militarization. This is what regimes do. This is what dictators and autocrats and autocracies do. Um, we also know that they've been getting hounded and blasted and unable to separate themselves from the stench of the Epstein case. And not to insinuate a motive or to insinuate a connection, but this is definitely a chaotic distraction um, from those things. And in regular number 45 fashion and regular step with this returned administration, the chaos that they unleash as a tool and a tactic of distraction comes right when we could maybe get somewhere with the Epstein trial in this case in this moment, and with the political um, shredding that they've been getting. You know what I mean? They've been getting their asses handed to them over this, and they should. But we have to realize the intersectionality of those issues, like I said, of Gaza, of Ukraine, of the violence of Vietnam, of the violence in Africa, in the Caribbean, all over the world that the U.S. has been a part of. Yes, we can say that that violence is coming home to roost, and it is. In so many ways, in the ways that we see every day in the hood and in our communities and on the streets and in these international wide ranging ways, in ways that is political and political persecution, and anti-trans legislation. And so with that, I'm gonna just read what my original like kind of thoughts were, and then I'll get into like some news clips and just kind of continue to really kind of figure out what I really want to say. I just couldn't pass up the moment to talk about this. Um, I made a post. I said the white supremacist backlash. Let me actually go ahead and pull it up so that y'all can read it as well. actually, actually. Okay, at least you can hear me. At least y'all can hear me. Okay. Um, I actually decided not to pull it up just because it'll show the rest of my Facebook page while I pull it up. But the white supremacist backlash to this assassination should put all QTPOC and people of color and black folks on alert, on high alert. We need to talk about safety for our communities, and we need to talk about it now. The denial of fascism, racism, xenophobia, and transmisogynoir and homophobia has to end. Black people cannot continue to think that politics and the motives of the current administration and Project 2025 will not impact us, especially when these racists will continue to be emboldened. They have been emboldened ever since Trump won in 2016. They have been emboldened when the insurrection happened. They was emboldened by COVID, by the very idea of having to wear a mask. They were emboldened against trans people. They were emboldened against black people, against Black Lives Matter and Antifa during COVID. They were emboldened by his impeachments, by Trump's previous 2 impeachments. They were emboldened by the election and by the assassination attempts that was held on him. And so just even that, the assassinations as a cause of why Trump won 2024. And us examining that for ourselves as black people and trans people. That's one of the reasons why he won. And so when the midterms come, these white people, I mean, honestly, just white people, they're going to be emboldened and they're going to make sure that they turn out to the polls. And yes, we go back and forth about voting, and especially in a climate like this, it definitely doesn't always seem like our votes matter, or like these rights and these constitutional rights and provisions matter. The Voting Rights Act, does it matter in this day and age and era? But that is a deficit-based mindset. White people do not think that their vote doesn't matter. They may sit out an election. They may sit out two. They may sit out the nationals, the federal election, and do their locals. They may do their federal and not care about their locals. But they're not going to ever give away their power. They're not going to ever just be like, oh, it doesn't matter if I vote. They're not going to be like, oh, whatever. And so we need to keep this in mind as we go to midterms. We still have 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know how long it is to the midterms, but we still have so far into the midterms, and they're going to be turned up. They're going to be out there voting while we're struggling to just get basic participation and civic engagement. I think that oftentimes we misconstrue our power in the electoral system as a privilege and as something that is optional. And again, white people don't necessarily share that mindset. They will vote their interests or against them when it suits them or when it suits their ideology. They will, again, maybe sit out an election or whatever, but they're not going to not participate across the spectrum and think that things are going to be fine. That's what I'm trying to say is my point. Back to the post that I made. They're going to stop at no ends to cut off our access to food. They're taking the pick and saves out. They're taking the banks out. They're trying to dismantle the Department of Education, our access to food, healthcare, kicking people off of Medicaid and Medicare, kicking people off of their insurance, kicking people off of their insurance by firing them from federal jobs and from jobs that are cut for funding cuts. I had a job this summer that got cut for the funding cuts that I was supposed to start like around June with an organization that I had worked with in the past, but to do a new summer program, and they cut it. And you know what I mean? I didn't spend the whole rest of the summer and the whole last few months looking for more work. And so again, these things are impacting us every day. I want to stay on food and healthcare for one more second. They're going to try to starve our communities. There is already a shortage of food in our communities. There is already food deserts in our communities. There is already environmental injustice in our communities that contributes to our health outcomes. But none of that is going to matter if there is a complete restriction, like again, referencing the pick and saves pulling out closing 5 pick and save locations in Milwaukee. Like this is again, these things are again a sign of what fascists and autocrats do. And these people would be completely fine to let you and me and everybody we love starve, to force us into smaller ghettos and projects, to force people out of their homes, to raise rent and the economy and the cost of living to outlandish things that they know that we are not going to necessarily be able to afford. By selling the land and selling all the houses to people that don't even live in your state, to companies and LLCs and foreign invaders overseas using economic warfare to buy up our housing infrastructure. Healthcare. People will die. They have said that. They censured Al Green for saying that people will die without Medicaid. People will also be forced out of their homes without Medicaid. people who work in that system will also lose their jobs and lose the financial stability or economic stability that they have. Okay, back to this. Housing, education. Education, they're trying to dismantle the Department of Education. Obviously, the American public is no shade. It's no shade to my girl, to America, but y'all like we're in a place where most people are like numb or dumb or so uninvest. I don't really have a word for it. And that goes back to what I was trying to say about the way that we look at our politics. And baby, if you're not thinking about politics, politics is thinking about you. And that's something that I say often. But one of the points I was trying to make about the difference in different cultures, even Asian and Latino cultures, do not view voting and participation as particularly a privilege, as particularly optional, as a privilege in that it's optional. Latino voters heavily swayed the 2024 election. Now, what I'm trying to get to with that is we call it civic engagement, civic participation, but in the Constitution and in our history, it really is a duty. And for us as Black people, we should feel the duty of the ancestors to use the tools and the systems to do what we can. You know what I mean? No, we cannot necessarily change the structures of power. No, we cannot in the ways that we would like to, in the ways that we would envision, or in the time frames that we envision. And these things take generations to do. And it's not on us that we just maybe can't get there, but we do have to continue to push forward. And civic and duty, like I think if people understood what it is to have a civic duty, I think that that would help us in the conversation about voting and about being engaged in the system. And don't get me wrong, I've experienced burnout. I've gone through different things. You know, I go through different shifts politically. I've gone through different things, but I'm not so privileged as to disconnect. And I do call that a privilege. We also have the issues of incarceration and people losing their ability and their right to vote. We also have the impacts of again, just incarceration and people not being able to vote on election years and these impacts. We have the losses in our community, the gun violence, the issues that we deal with in the hood every day that is taken away from whatever power we can have, you know? And so when we vote, we're voting for other people. I'm not just not disconnected for my own self. We're not disconnecting, or we continue to eat. It could be voting, it could be working in the community, it could be just, you know, living right? Whatever. We're not just doing that for ourselves. Our one vote, my one Black vote, Black trans vote, is voting for everybody in my family and everybody around me that it can't vote, or that is not going to vote, or that feels disconnected, or that has some type of a barrier. And so I think we need to get a sense of civic duty. That's what the Black Panthers had. That's what the civil rights era activist leaders had. They had a understanding and a praxis and put action behind civic engagement. We have our Black leaders. We have Jasmine Crockett. We have Hakeem Jeffries. We have, some, you know, many others, Ayanna Pressley, many others that can come to mind. Do we really support them? The reparations bill that Ayanna Pressley is trying to pass, do we really support them? Like, when the opportunity is there, the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, he denied the reparations committee and research study, which his point was like, it's research, it's going to be later down the line, we have enough research. That could be true, that could be untrue. But why stop Black people from trying to do the work still? You get what I'm saying? So anyway, all of those things. Let me go back to reading this. They will racially profile people and activists as a result of their manhunt. So all on the news as a result of this shooting today, you're seeing manhunt, manhunt, manhunt. We know what the fuck that mean. If you Black, you know exactly what the fuck that mean. You know exactly what it means. When you can't drive on the freeway from Milwaukee to Chicago without getting pulled over. When you can't, you know what I'm saying? When these National Guards people are on the street, you know exactly what the fuck that mean. You know exactly what the fuck that mean. That mean racial profiling. It means stop and frisk. That mean people getting their rights and their humanity and their bodies violated by these systems, by police, by ICE, by National Guard people. You know exactly what the fuck that means. They're already snatching people out the streets with masks on. They already have access to our data. They already have access to our social media, to our internet impressions, to our phones, to our webcams, to all these things. They already have that access. So to find somebody or to try to persecute someone is for things just or unjust is easier for them now than it has been. And that's a level of consciousness and awareness like around tech and all these different things that we need to have. And when is we going to have these conversations? And when is we going to actually do something? When are we going to actually make a plan for ourselves? Again, the Black Panthers and stuff. I just got done reading where is it? Asada Shakur book. I just got done reading it. And one thing about it, the Black Panthers and all of them, they was not finna sit there. Martin Luther King, they were not finna, whoever you want to name, Rosa Parks, Marsha P. Johnson, whoever you want to name, they were never gonna just sit there and let this shit happen. And we don't have no real response. And we don't have no real organizing. And we don't have no real power building. The No Kings rallies. Me and my sister, we did a rally and signed on to co-lead a rally against Trump's second inauguration. I don't give a fuck about a No King rally. I was out for 3 years straight protesting, and y'all didn't give a fuck. Y'all didn't give a fuck, and y'all voted him back in. There was not gonna just sit there. And whether that's using a platform, whether that's educating yourself, whether that's educating those around you, whether that's voting, whether that's activism, organizing, arts, culture, history, preserving our culture, whether that's feeding people, whether that's helping people access healthcare and gender affirming care and reproductive justice, like you should be doing something. And the denial has to stop. So back to this. Next part. They have already militarized themselves against us. Most people do not have access to guns. So I only mention that because this is always what Black people say, right? And y'all know this is what they say. What we say. I myself, other people, Black people say in our culture, right? Oh, well, I'ma just give me a gun. One, baby, half you motherfuckers can't get guns if you've already been previously incarcerated. Then it be niggas all over the world, all over America, running around with guns without no bullets in them. Let's talk about it. Claiming they big dog, claiming they this, claiming all these things, all these hood things that we glorify in hip hop and glorify in the culture. But then when it's time for you to show up or to defend some shit or to stand up, then you're not there. Anyway, I just want to address stay on that for a second. Okay, you go get you a gun. They shoot this white man. Okay, you go get you a gun. You get a CC dub. Okay. The white people been stocking up and buying out bullets in bulk for years. Again, where's you gonna get some bullets from, babe? They've been preparing in our face. Project 2025. They've been telling us what they was going to do in our face. Where are you gonna get some guns, babe? Where are you gonna get some bullets from, babe? Is it not already too late? I don't know. I really don't personally believe in guns. I actually think, and I know that one of the statistics about guns is that you're actually more likely to be shot because of the presence of a gun. And we see that again in the hood and in the streets all the time from people upping guns and flashing guns. We see that all the time. You're actually more likely to be shot. So I really personally don't believe in guns. When the trade have guns, I be acting, I pretend like I don't see it. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's all I can really personally say about a gun. But my point is the white people have been stocking up on bullets. Let me look that up right quick, just for 1 second. White people have been buying up bullets out of stock. Let's see. I just want to see the year, really. Ammunition shortages. Hold on, babes. Let me okay. Hold on, babes. No, let's go off of this. This looks like some right wing shit. Quora. 5 years ago. Perfect. Boom. Ammunition is hard to find because ammunition is hard to find. Thus, when people find it, they buy a shitload. This is from Quora. Why is ammunition completely sold out all over the U.S.? These folks will go looking for it and can't find it. So when they do find some, they buy a shit load of it. And the next folks who go looking for it can't find it, and so on and so on. This is like a discussion board. I don't want that. I want like an article. But anyways, let me just read this little AI thing you do on Google. During ammunition shortages, increased sales have been driven by a broad range of consumers, including a surge first-time buyers who are more diverse than traditional gun owner demographic. Data does not indicate. Let me see. Anyway. It says 5 years ago there was a shortage, and it says 2024 was a shortage. That's what I was really looking for. So let me go back to reading this post that I created. They've already militarized themselves against us. Most people do not have access to guns. So, right. So even if people could all get guns, right? Do people know how to properly carry a gun? Do people know how to properly defend or stand their ground? Do people understand the laws in their states? Would that just lead to our people getting caught up in the streets and harassed in the streets about having guns and carrying all these things, especially again with all this National Guard stuff? That's more so what I was talking about with like the National Guard militarization against us. Like we throw around martial law all the time as like a far off dystopian possibility, but it's happening. This is happening. And that is the whole point of me coming on here is it's happening. The National Guard has been activated. White supremacy has been named a public safety crisis. Okay, let me look that up just so I have the date, the year. White supremacy safety crisis. June 15th, 2021, white supremacists top domestic terror threat. New York Times. Okay. Keeping on going with my post. Activists will be targeted and with threats and violence, jailed or prosecuted. Law firms, courts, the Supreme Court, corporations and foundations, organizations and publications have already folded, are sunsetting, have already folded, have capitulated. That's the word they like to throw around all the time now. Capitulated is you was being a pussy. Like, what is the point? That is why these people, like, that is why, again, why it's so important to vote, is because these people that y'all done put in charge of every single motherfucking thing don't have no plan, don't take it serious, is still in denial, even when they see colleagues and people all over the country getting fired, firing the black woman, Lisa Cook, that is the director of the Federal Reserve. It's a grift. In Russia, Putin owns all the national parks, all the historic buildings, all the landmarks. Took and seized them. So when we see Black Lives Matter Plaza getting torn down, when we see Confederate building names and institution names coming back when they were sunsetted, when we see the renaming of naval ships and all these different things that we're seeing, this is what these people do. There is no plan, and most people in power and on the ground are truly still in denial of where we are in the world right now. We cannot afford to continue to be in denial as they force people out of their jobs and homes, as they subpoena hospital gender affirming care records. Many of us are locked into work and missions and commitments that started before we even got here. What I mean by that is many of us that's in the activist space. Hold on one second. Many of us that are in the activist space, we have been a part of movements, some of us our whole lives. The work that I'm doing now in my life and in my career is because those seeds was planted in my life. It's because my life led me up to this moment to do the things that I'm able to do and to try to do the things that I'm able to do. To try to unlock and knock down barriers. And so why I think that's significant is because, again, just like I'm going to just go get a gun, you're expecting that everyone's just going to be able to pivot, that everyone's just going to be able to woo, 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 woo. You know what I mean? I'm on the Equal Rights Commission in Milwaukee. It's certain things that I'm not supposed to do and say politically, but I've already built my platform. I've already, you know what I'm saying? They know what they signed up for. And so I know what I signed up for. And so I'm not going to not speak on different things and issues or say my opinion, but it's definitely procedure and ways about it. And so my point in saying that is that snap pivot moment, like, when are we going to do something, is my point. Where is the action? Where is the action? They mapped out everything in Project 2025. Where is the action? When you talk about activism, when you talk about abolition, that is action. That is not just social media. That is not just protesting. That is not just defending yourself or standing your ground. That is getting out there and making change happen. Again, if that's you giving out peanut butter sandwiches to kids or in a park or something, from that all the way up to the macro level of being involved in government or starting an organization or all these things. And so I think that if we're going to talk about safety and if we're going to talk about what's happening around us, we have to realize that, baby, even if we wanted to, some of us is not going to be able to just do certain things, and we still have to live with barriers and survive and struggle with survival ourselves, even when we do step into leadership. And so what that means is we need mass participation. We need mass action. We need new people to get involved. We need new leadership. We need people who have different types of experience and fresh ideas. We need just to get out of our own way and making some of the things that we want happen. Because it's not going to happen if no one's voting. It's not going to happen if we can't get basic participation, basic people to sign, basic attendance, and people to show up at events and move the work forward, or even taking resources. We be making resources happen with little to nothing, and people don't take them that we know need them, that we can tell them to their face that this is here for them, and they still walk away. And so if this pivot, if this great, we're at the line, we're going too far, where is that at? Where do y'all think it's at? Where do y'all think it's at? Okay, I'm gonna come back on camera in a second. I think that's important for our community for us to talk about, is what being in leadership, what having power, what building power really looks like. And again, that pivot moment that, we're just gonna drop everything and we're gonna be a all black army and we're gonna fight fight back. Like, you're like, come on now, like we can't agree about little simple things or get in lockstep and do the action and the work for simple things. So how can you think that when the white people go too far, or that when the system breaks too far, or the wars overseas spill over here, or the violence and the spirit and the things that are being unleashed in this world and the things that are happening in this world on the spiritual level even will not reverberate and come back and manifest in other ways? Like, we have to understand that we're all a part of that, and that, baby, it don't matter if I'm trans, it don't matter if you're cis, it doesn't matter if you're non-binary, if you're Latino, if you're Hispanic. They see people of color, they see black people, they see blackness, and that's why we talk about anti-blackness, and that is encompassing many different things. And we all in the same boat. They're using the cis black men, they're using the cis Latino men to get their vote. The whole Charlie Kirk and the whole youth movement and the whole going to universities and university tours, him and Candace on university tours. I don't know. I have always been like somewhat liberal, somewhat aware of politics and different things like that, always. But who the fuck want to see Charlie Kirk at their college? If you was college age, like, bitch, if I was 20, bitch, I would not be sitting there wanting to see no motherfucking Charlie Kirk. It would be a lot of other things I would be doing if I could be 20 right now and not be sitting there watching him and Candace Owens up there spewing hate, And so, like, there's stuff and misinformation impacting our people and communities and our youth. And we have to address it. And we have to address it. Like we can't afford to continue to shy away from some of these conversations. We need true leadership. We need a plan and to educate those in denial. We need to talk about safety and we need to talk now. The denial is literally insane at this point. It's frustrating and disheartening. The violence that our politics has sown all over the world will hit our communities the hardest. We looking at the images out of Gaza and still trying to say that that can't happen. They are making it happen. It is happening. They have been dropping bombs on people all over the world for decades and decades and decades. Again, that reverberation, only somebody crazy would think that that would never eventually come and affect us. Like, be for real. It's just all lioness. I actually said they should have put that show out before the election, and I think that it was intentional why they did it. Because the establishment and the media establishment, the government establishment and the media establishment, political establishment, knew that Trump was going to win 24. But there's a show called Lioness with Zoe Saldana, right? Like on Prime, right? Ooh, let me come back. Like on Prime, right? You know how to do my one too. But like on Prime, right? And in it, they had this girl infiltrate into this Arab family, like some big kingpin Arab dude. I don't know, like a sheik or like a rich, I don't know, a rich motherfucker. I don't know. And so, and she infiltrates into this family and then she kills him. Spoiler alert. But the girl, but she ended up falling in love with the girl, and the girl ended up in it with his daughter, and the girl ended up telling her like, you know, why they hate America, all these things, right? And so at the end of that season of season 1 of Lioness, um, she like she swings off on Zoe Saldana, and she is like, you just made the next 3 generations of them hate us. We're seeing a genocide happen in Gaza, yet you can't think that that's going to impact you. You don't think that nothing's wrong, nothing's happening. Like the denial is out of hand. It's so beyond out of hand. It's so beyond out of hand. I don't know. I think Galileo maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Galileo, I think maybe is older than who I'm thinking of. But the man, he tried to tell them motherfuckers the world was round like 200 years before they even allowed that to be the common knowledge. Now, let me just explain something about flat earthers and the world being round, right? If you look at the sun and the moon and all the other planets and they're round, honey, I think that you can see some with just the night sky. I think that maybe they're all fucking round. Yeah, we're in 2025 having to debate that and debating it 3-4 years ago. Like it's out of hand. It's out of hand. Again, we was outside protesting for 3 years straight after the pandemic. Like, be for real. Sorry, my charger. Like, be for real. Be fucking for real. I'm outside screaming, losing my voice, getting sick, potentially putting ourselves in danger to do and lead protests, to participate, to watch, to witness, and to lead, to support and to lead. Screaming about anti-trans violence, screaming about gun violence, screaming about all these things impacting our community. Let me come back to this. I'm almost done with the status. The denial is literally insane at this point. It's frustrating and disheartening. The racists and conservatives are not in denial. They are executing wars. They are executing Project 2025. They are executing a Epstein cover-up complete with massive distraction and chaos. And still, even when we have been right about everything, that is what the denial is. That's why I just said it about the man knowing the earth was round. It would have been established science, and that could have advanced humanity forward. Except that they wanted to make it subjective and objective. They wanted to make it questionable. They wanted to keep it and keep that knowledge from being out there. What if that could have had advanced us faster, or you know what I mean? I don't know. Helped us with the environment or something. I don't know, something related to astronomy or something. I don't know. But you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a tactic of power, is the misinformation and disinformation. And we say it, but it's happening every day. The AI and the videos and the even celebrity videos and pop culture videos, like, it don't even have to be no tea or no government shit or no, you know what I mean, no political shit. Like, you can't even tell on YouTube which ones is real and which ones is fake now. And we love these platforms. And you know what I mean? I love my platform. I love, connecting with people and seeing people and talking to people on Facebook and Messenger and all that, right? But we've seen Mark Zuckerberg up there with Trump at the inauguration. We've seen all of them in the tech oligarchy. We saw it. They was out front and center. Project 2025. Some shit couldn't even play out better for their ass. Elon Musk getting like $4 billion more just since, maybe more, just since 2024 election. 1 year in November. But what I mean by the racists and conservatives are not in denial. They're not in denial. They're moving forward on Project 2025. They're executing every single thing that they laid out for not even just Project 2025 or just since 2020, but things that they have been working on and laying out for decades, like getting rid of abortion and Roe v. Wade. And now questioning same-sex marriage, now questioning interracial marriage, now questioning birthright citizenship. I actually got penalized because I said that at a panel event we had. Because I said that he would challenge birthright citizenship. But is it not happening? And that is the maddening thing to us that are in the work, that are activists, is we've been saying it. That's the point I'm trying to make right now. We have been saying every single thing that has happened and that will continue to happen. So how can y'all act like y'all still in denial? That pisses me off with trans people too. Everybody, oh my God, it's my first time meeting a trans person. Oh my God, I have so many questions, or whatever the case. Bitch, how many times is it gonna be your first time? Like, is you a trade? Is you a man? Like, is you just gonna keep on lying over and over about it's your first time? You never had nobody gay or trans in your family? You never seen polls or seen some shit or a documentary or something? You know what I mean? You don't know nothing. We have to be intellectually honest. Even when we have been right about everything, right about Medicaid, they swore and swore and swore they would not do Medicaid cuts. We're gonna do every single thing else and government efficiency, but we're not gonna do Medicaid cuts. Again, the whole if I was living in the time of slavery, I would do X, Y, and Z. You would do what you're doing right now. And so my point in mentioning that is, again, it's the white people getting a gun or the racists getting guns or it's gonna be World War III or a civil war, so I'm gonna get a gun. Like, one, you would be doing exactly what you're doing now. You think you being in denial, how is being in denial gonna serve you for that? They're just gonna come knock on your door and tell you that the civil war finna start. They're doing it in our face. They've been doing it in our face for decades. And things that we beat down the Democrats and beat down Obama and beat down Nancy Pelosi and beat down people with was stuff that they actually was keeping from happening. You know what I mean? Like, they actually was keeping bad stuff from happening because the Republicans, they've been trying all of this stuff. Mitch McConnell been trying all of this stuff for 50 years. And still, when we have been right about everything that has unfolded in the last few years, we are told we're exaggerating. We are told these are just your views. Bitch, these is facts. It's confusing to our allies, to our fellow activists. It's confusing. It's confusing. Some of them same people that was out with us protesting, where's y'all at? Some of them same people that was out with us protesting, where was y'all at when it was 6 trans women getting killed in Milwaukee? Where are y'all at for the violence that happens every day? Where are y'all at on using y'all platforms for the right thing? Where are y'all at on getting involved in the system? Where are y'all at on starting a new business or starting an organization or participating or supporting the work of a current organization? Of actually being an ally. An ally also means action. It doesn't mean just a nameplate. It doesn't mean just proximity to the culture. It doesn't mean just being a culture vulture and getting your hair braided and being able to come to the cookout. It don't mean that. It means action. It means action. When we talk about abolition, don't say that it can't be possible for us to change things, when we talk about abolition, that there was white people that really stood up and was like, no, y'all need to check y'all people. Y'all need to check y'all people. If the platform ain't on the right ring hadn't gotten to the place where it is and has gotten so celebritized, then what happened today wouldn't have happened. Then what happened today wouldn't have happened. Okay. Let me see this happening on the news, honey. Let's see if it's some clips I might want to play. I know what I want to do. Okay, this I can show. Okay, hold on, Pookie. Kirk engaging with student about transgender people in mass shootings when shot. The Wall Street Journal. Charlie Kirk was going back and forth with a student about mass shootings involving transgender people when he was shot, according to the videos of the attack. I can't even read this because it has this paywall. But do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? Kirk was asked. Too many, Kirk responded. The student said that there have been 5 and continued. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Kirk replied, counting or not counting gang violence. So let's talk about that. I'm gonna try to see, can I find one that has more of what was said. Um, okay. Um, counting or not counting gang violence, Kirk said. This is a different article, but yeah. AL News. I don't know. Videos, seen emblazoned, single shots. Yes. Okay. So that was it. That was the whole comments. Um, do you know how many mass shooters that have been transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? An audience member asked. Kirk responded, too many. Questioner followed up. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Um, yeah. Let's unpack that. Hold on. Child, I don't even want that man picture popping up for y'all to see, honey. Like, I don't even want to be doing this or to be giving nothing but baby. Um, let's unpack a mental health crisis in America for trans people. Now, I don't know. I haven't. I know. I do remember like one of the more recent shooters being a trans person, but obviously, most trans people is not going out shooting people committing crime or becoming mass shooters. Um, so that's like, it's just already again intellectually dishonest. Like, why are you trying to tell thousands of white kids at a rally in Utah at a university that of all the mass shootings, gang related or not gang related, why is there a difference? Why is it different when it's Sandy Hook or when it's a school or when it's something versus when it's Sandra Parks in Milwaukee getting shot, her and her brother getting shot sitting in their house, or what happened down on Water Street a few years ago? You know what I mean? What's the difference? Why does there have to be a, oh, you can include gang violence or not? If you're gonna talk about mass shootings, you would have to include gang violence, would you not? Doesn't that count? Is it not enough bodies? Are the bodies not worth enough when it's gang related for you to count it? Unless it's a white girl whose family you're gonna have at Congress up in the balcony. Let's unpack a mental health crisis in America for trans people, where you are telling them they cannot access healthcare, where you are telling them they are worthless, where you are telling them you can't work, you can't take your identity or any work experience or any education you had from your past life into a new transition life. You can't access housing. Um, you deserve violence. You deserve to be taken advantage of. Would they not make on repeat throughout your whole life? That wouldn't make somebody mentally vulnerable, mentally unsound at a certain point, or couldn't have the potential to. And we should look at the trans killers more than the gang members. We should look at the trans killers more than the white man killers and the black man killers and the cisgender man killers all over the world every single day. Um, mm-mm. Let me go to Lawrence Child. I already watched this. I already watched this, but child, child. Okay.
Of mourning from the political leadership of both parties after Charlie Kirk was killed today in Utah. At 2:53 p.m., Gavin Newsom said, "The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form." At 3:09 p.m., Congressman Hakeem Jeffries said, "Political violence is never acceptable. My thoughts and prayers are with Charlie Kirk and his family." At 3:21 p.m., Senator Chuck Schumer said, "Political violence has no place in America. This shooting is horrifying, and I'm praying for Charlie Kirk and his family." At 3:48 p.m., Kamala Harris said, "I am deeply disturbed by the shooting in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence." At 4:40 p.m., Donald Trump tweeted, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." At 4:45 p.m., J.D. Vance retweeted Donald Trump's statement, adding, "Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord." At 5:07 p.m., Joe Biden said, "There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones." At 5:26 p.m., Barack Obama tweeted, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife, Erica, and their two young children." At 5:31 p.m., Mike Johnson tweeted, "Utterly devastating. Charlie was a close friend and confidant. He will be sorely missed by so many. Every political leader must loudly and clearly decry this violence. Our prayers go out to his wife and young children. May he rest in peace." At 6:58 p.m., George W. Bush said, "Today, a young man was murdered in cold blood while expressing his political views. It happened on a college campus where the open exchange of opposing ideas should be sacrosanct. Violence and vitriol must be purged from the public square. Members of other political parties are not our enemies. They are our fellow citizens. May God bless Charlie Kirk and his family, and may God guide America toward civility. At 7:06 p.m., Bill Clinton tweeted, "I'm saddened and angered by Charlie Kirk's murder, and I hope we all go through some serious introspection and redouble our efforts to engage in debate passionately yet peacefully. Hillary and I are keeping Erica, their 2 young children, and their family in our prayers." Here's what eyewitness Justin Hickens told NBC News.
I was about 20 yards away on Charlie's left. I had gotten there probably just a few minutes before noon. There was thousands of people there. Unfortunately, there was no metal detectors. There was security by Charlie, but anybody could have shown up with whatever, unfortunately. And I happened to kind of maneuver my way down close on the side. And
I'm only playing this because I watched it already. I'm gonna go back to this commercial of my pills. In a second. Oh my god, it's like 45 comments. I see y'all watching. Oh my god, that's a lot of comments. So I had the little comment thing up, but it wouldn't show. It didn't show it. Dr. Rito says, no one really cares about the well-being of trans people. Mm-hmm. No one really cares about the well-being of trans people unless there's special prize at the end, such as money, fame, spotlight, erasure of white guilt. Gavin said that because he had to, that he's also a white child. I don't even love that. He's a shit. I see you, Suckerito. But it's not political violence when making laws that actively kill trans people, intersex people, not. It's just y'all don't like when people engage in violence against y'all. I see you, Lauren. Suckerito said, I hope George Floyd met his ass at the gate. I hope child. I don't know if this person gonna make it to the gate, honey. But they're saying this shit is because of PR. They felt like it was gonna be safe because it's fucking Utah. So let's get into that. Let's get into this picture. Thank you, Sakurito. Let's get into this picture. And you, child, one of the first clips I seen, the sheriff or I don't know who he was, but some policeman from Utah. He was like, he had on a black and yellow shirt, a white man, like a bald head, I think. He was like, we still have the death penalty in Utah. Who is you trying to signal with that? Because Mr. Robot and the motherfuckers who got the resources to pull something like this off don't give a fuck. This some straight up Mr. Robot, the Born Identity, crazy ass shit. They just killed that lady and her husband in Minnesota. They was gonna kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Okay, let me play a little more.
And the first interaction probably took about 10 minutes. It was a religious-related exchange. And then there was someone who stepped up, ironically, coincidentally, who asked a question about mass shootings. And about 60 to 90 seconds in, we heard a big loud shot. I saw a bunch of blood come out of Charlie. I saw his body kind of kick back and go limp, and everybody dropped to the ground. And luckily, there were no other bullets sprayed into the crowd because nobody was really able to go anywhere. It was just like a big, open pavilion, amphitheater, outdoor venue. And, lots of screaming, lots of yelling, lots of bodies on top of each other.
Let's get into it with thousands of people and young people and students and MAGA people at this thing in Utah. Thousands. Let's get into that man saying the death penalty thing. Who is you signaling? Black people. Who is you signaling? Oh, it's okay for the Utah police to just go and racial profile everybody and look for anybody on the internet that ever said something about Charlie Kirk.
And after a couple minutes, people got up and started kind of running, getting out of there. There were some gates, some barriers that had been pushed aside and knocked over, and people were able to move. And I started to move quickly, and then kind of realized that I said, I think we're okay, and I kind of stopped walking away.
Carl Jung, the great psychoanalyst.
Hold on, we got a commercial. I do want to play this next man that Lawrence interviews because he says some key things about the FBI, and he be on MSN all the time too. And he says some key things about the FBI and about the investigation and this quote unquote man.
We are joined now in our continuing live coverage by former federal prosecutor Andrew Weissman and MSNBC justice correspondent Ken Delanian. Ken, what is the latest in the investigation as of this hour?
Well, Lawrence, the latest is a puzzling series of social media posts from the FBI director, who announced with great fanfare about 3 hours ago that the subject, that's the term he used, involved in the shooting of Charlie Kirk, had been captured, and he thanked local law enforcement. Now, law enforcement on the scene quickly contradicted that and said that the person that they were questioning was actually a person of interest. They did not call that person a subject or a suspect. And then about 2 hours after that, Kash Patel posted another item on X saying that this person had in fact been released and the investigation continues. He didn't explicitly say it, but the implication is that the shooter is at large. Now, there's a massive manhunt going on. I can tell you from talking to my sources, and there are some pieces of evidence. There's some scanner traffic that's online right now where you can hear law enforcement talking about a suspect in black jeans wearing a black bandana and carrying a rifle. And there's a video that appears to show someone, potentially the suspect, on a rooftop about 150 yards from where that single shot was fired that killed Charlie Kirk. So there is some evidence, but as of right now, we're not aware that any arrests have been made of anyone they believe is connected to this. And it's worth remembering, though, Lawrence, that generally in these kinds of shocking instances of violence, whether it's a mass shooting or another kind of random act of violence, the perpetrator is often caught very quickly. But that's not always the case. Remember when Luigi Mangione allegedly assassinated the CEO of United Healthcare, it took 5 days for the authorities to track him down and arrest.
Yes. Okay, I see the rest of the comment. Shout out. Thank you, Kamaya. Thank you, Babe, Marie. Thank you, Shanicia. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Dr. Rito. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching. But okay, pause them for a second. Let me see what happens. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see me trying to come back on camera? Okay. So, the United Healthcare man. The United Healthcare man, Nancy Pelosi husband. And who is that? Kavanaugh. Who is that? Some man, some white politician man had got shot a few years ago. Nancy Pelosi's husband getting attacked in their home. The husband and wife, the House Speaker of the Democratic Minnesota legislature, being assassinated. What is with the denial? What is with the denial? We've been seeing this. They tried to shoot Trump. What is the denial? And it does make me very nervous about our events. I have an event tomorrow. Like, it does make me very nervous about our events. And ever since 2020, when we was leading massive protests, I was so worried, y'all. Like, y'all cannot understand about COVID, about caretaking people and inviting them into the street, about the police, about crazy drivers like we saw in New Orleans, like we saw here. It was a man here drove into the winter parade, and like just again mental health crisis in the country, but this I'm not going for that. This was a very calculated to be able to pull off in front of that many people, to get away, for no one not to have no footage of where the shot came from, for no one not to be able to have seen the shooter. Like when the man shot Trump, they caught his ass before he could get down from off that building. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, this was very coordinated. It was very high level. Right. I very much think it was a distraction. I very much think it was a distraction. And I don't think it's crazy to say that they would maybe, sacrifice one of their own to get away from this Epstein shit, but that's a whole different, Anyway, okay, back to this. I do think it's important what this man is saying. Oh Lord, no, I can't find it. Can I click on it? No, I can't find it. No. No, I can't find the window share. No.
Arrest him. So there's certainly a massive manhunt going on with federal, state, and local authorities. But the uncertainty and confusion at the top of the nation's premier law enforcement agency is really puzzling and disturbing, and is not offering the American public clarity tonight about where this investigation stands.
Andrew Reisman, how are investigative duties shared in a situation like this between FBI and local authorities?
So I'm brought back immediately to what happened in the Boston bombing. I was at the FBI at the time. It was the general counsel. It was under Director Mueller. And you have a really wonderful partnership, and are supposed to have a local team of FBI agents who have a very good relationship with everyone who's local at the scene. There also, though, is a massive effort that happens. It's supposed to happen at the main headquarters of the FBI. Why?
Not these commercials.
Obviously, you need people at the scene who are going to interview people. You want to look and see if there's evidence like gun shells, things like that, physical evidence. But you also have so much electronic data now. You are doing so much remotely, where you're setting up a geofence to see who went in or out of the area. And then every single one of those leads is followed up.
Oh, I thought he was canceling all the Secret Service for everybody. I thought they was canceling all the Secret Service for everybody. I wonder, was it cut to federal agencies in Utah? A rally of that size would have some type of coordination with a campus, a university campus rally of that size will have some type of coordination with law enforcement now. A celebrity guest speaker, this celebrity conservative. Well, I thought he was cutting off the Secret Service and setting everybody's protections down and reversing people clearances.
tracking what's online. Are there threats that have been made previously to Mr. Kirk or to his family? You want to track all of that. You're dealing with all of the social media companies to get emergency orders to make sure that you can get access to everything that they have that could provide a lead. I mean, there's just so much that is supposed to happen and is coordinated from the top of the FBI. And it's sort of a real beehive that happens, that's supposed to happen at main headquarters at FBI.
Okay. I'm gonna be done with this one. Let me go ahead and go to the clip that I want next. But okay, so let's unpack that a little deeper. Cash Patel and these people is putting up false statements. The director of the FBI jumping the gun. The director of the FBI does not jump a gun and release details in investigation. That should be impeachable from the cabinet or impeachable from the FBI. No? Okay. Second. So he goes on and talks about, you know, not glorifying violence and the dangers of the moment, and all those things are true, but the danger is already here, and it's been coming from the white supremacy named domestic terror named as the biggest threat, you know, since 2021. Right, right. And so let me come on. Marshall Monhill, he goes on to say, like I said, about all of that. I didn't watch this one, but we'll watch it together. But he went on to say that stuff, and kind of clicked off it because he honestly just took me off, like telling us, like, you know, don't feed into it, don't make jokes, don't. I do, like I said, I do stand on don't watch the shooting or don't watch it on repeat or don't let yourself be caught in watching it too much. We are adults, you know what I mean? I think maybe you should watch it for the moment and to see it and to understand for yourself, but definitely watching it on repeat, like on Twitter or something, or in people comments, or just clicking on it, people talking about it and things like that, that's definitely not healthy. So I do stand on that, but I don't give a fuck how they feel about this white man because he's just another white man. I honestly don't. I don't necessarily care, but I do care about the reverberation of the violence and them racially profiling and attacking people, snatching people off the street with masks. I do care about them further using politics and further using capital punishment and violence against our community as a result of this particular white man being shot.
An assailant who we don't know yet. So I don't want to make assumptions about the political views or persuasion of the person who shot Charlie Kirk. I don't want to make an assumption that certainly not a firm assumption that it was political. We don't know. That's what investigations are for. However, I think it is reasonable to assume that Charlie Kirk was killed for being a political voice, that he was killed for being a controversial voice, a voice that is divisive and unsettling to a lot of people. This is political violence. I don't find any pleasure or any joy in these types of moments. I don't find any justice in them. I don't find any pleasure or satisfaction in hearing or seeing that someone like Charlie Kirk has been gunned down, in all likelihood, for his political beliefs, although again, we can't confirm that. This type of violence for me is deplorable, and it's deeply disturbing and deeply dangerous. I don't want to see celebration that Charlie Kirk was murdered. I don't. Charlie Kirk is a person. Charlie Kirk had children. Innocent, beautiful children who will no longer have that.
Like I said, turned him off. I actually met Mark Vermont Hill. I actually had his book and had it signed at a conference here in Milwaukee some years ago. And, you know, he'd be on Joe Budden and I think worked for Essence and has been around for a very long time. I do agree we should never. I don't think for us individually that it is healthy to glorify violence or glorify that level of violence. But again, most Black people, including myself, I'm very enmeshed in politics, and like I said, I knew who he was. I didn't necessarily. I can be completely honest. I didn't necessarily know what he looked like. I didn't necessarily have ever watched any of his content or speaking or anything. Maybe past him being on one of the panel news shows or you know, just maybe headlines and things that we see in the news. But I know that he's a very powerful MAGA person. And that being said, you know, they've been pushing out stuff. They're talking about quotes of things that he said, the transgender comments right before he was killed, the protecting the Second Amendment. I think Second Amendment. Protecting the Second Amendment and it's gonna cause lives or whatever he said. Like people are reposting things that he said in the past and reasons why he I saw Hope Giselle, he was attacking Cassandra Brown Jackson at some point. I saw that tonight. I was thinking about playing that. I'm not playing it. I didn't watch it. I just saw the thumbnail. But again, most Black people didn't know who Charlie Kirk was for today, really. And so I don't think it's about whether or not we do that, or some people say jokes or say maybe even that he deserves it. And then Mark, oh, he has kids. I saw people particularly taking that quote and saying oh, this is y'all taking up for him. And I honestly did get that vibe myself off of Mark Vermont Hill. I don't know, is this who they was talking about when they was already sharing that the last couple hours? I don't know if that's who they was talking about, but I was feeling like that, and that's why I told her I turned this off. But I do believe that he'll give us some type of Black perspective and some type of detail here. But let's unpack that. Y'all said that about Willie. Y'all said it about Willie. But Byron Donald up there every day capitulating for the white people in for Trump. They told Whitney she sold out. But when people actually doing it, y'all continue to glorify them. You get what I'm saying? That's my point of bringing up Whitney. Y'all continue to glorify them and their platform and elevate them when they're capitulating. I remember Donald trying to run for the governor of Florida. He's going to go be Dr. Umar for the Republicans. I don't know. I don't think you need to defend Charlie Kirk or talk about his kids or talk about nothing to be like, this is dangerous to our political system, to be like, it was wrong in front of youth, even though they may be racist or transphobic or whatever they is, for it to happen on a campus and for it to happen in front of youth, like to me that's detrimenting. That's going to be a whole generation out of Utah, like I said about the Shaw Lioness and the girl talking about the Middle Eastern family. That's going to be them talking about. That's going to be them carrying that with them and having been traumatized from seeing it in person. I have been around people that have been shot. I have been very recently in the presence of someone who passed away when he was shot. But I've never seen someone be shot in front of me. And so I do think that, and then again, it's circulating on social media, circulating in the news. I do think that is corrosive to the soul. Like, I do think that no one could see that in person and not be in some type of way impacted. But I don't think that Black people or even anyone on the left, like you saw Lawrence Saldana, he was playing all these clips. I don't even believe that they need to, that Obama and Bill Clinton and all these people that's just like Trump inviting Putin to Alaska. You don't platform them higher, having the freaking past two of the past president and the current administration and the Republicans and everyone and Kamala Harris speaking about it. Like, it's other ways for them to send support, being that they're in politics at that level, right? It's other ways that an Obama or a Bill Clinton or a Kamala could send a message of support than doing it on social media. Kamala is my girl, y'all. Y'all don't understand, and it ain't necessarily for you to understand. But Kamala is still my girl. But baby girl, let's talk about it. The book. I probably will maybe get the book on Audible. I don't care for, oh, you lost like that and now you're making a book. I don't care for that. I don't care for now you're turning on Biden when, bitch, that's what you stood on. That's why you lost. It's because you said that on The View that you wouldn't change anything. That's literally the reason why you lost in the cycle. I don't care for. Anyway, my point is Bill Clinton and Obama and Kamala have enough money, enough resources. They can send a basket of muffins or something. They don't need to tweet and further platform him. This is someone that y'all wouldn't platform while he was alive. This is somebody that y'all would have never had sat down with or had a panel with or had a show with or did a podcast with. There's somebody y'all would have never platformed. And only Trump and the crazy MAGA people will platform it. Okay, let's go back to him. But I don't think that, and I think often a lot of times black people attack other black people, and again, you sell out, you sell out. People say that to me, or things akin to that to me. Baby, I'm a black hood girl. Yes, honey, I am not. It's not even in my vocabulary to try to sell out. I continue to work for black organizations. I continue to work for trans organizations. I continue to work for anti-racist and abolitionist concert organizations, and continue to grow in that. And I don't think that it's productive for us to. I think that it helps to further radicalize, particularly our men, when we do that, and just label people sellouts and people whatever off of a comment. If the man got kids, he got kids. I don't give a fuck about Charlie kids. I don't. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. And I don't think that that's on black people or the Democrats or the left to comment and to share in the morning and to share in the responsibility. When everybody has been saying we're gonna fuck around and find out with this mega stuff and it's probably 2025 stuff, this is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been talking about. I wonder, did Bill Clinton speak when the House Speaker in Minnesota got killed? I wonder, did Kamala speak when the House Speaker in Minnesota got killed? I wonder, did Obama speak when the House Speaker in Minnesota got killed? Did they make public tweets when Nancy Pelosi's husband got attacked? And they should have did more. Again, Kamala's my girl, but yes, they should have did more. Kamala and Obama, yes, they let us down culturally as black people in certain ways, and that's valid. Don't do the playing of both sides, sitting next to Trump laughing like y'all just too rich people, like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all just rich and like, oh, you know what I mean? I don't know who was that, Anthony Scalia funeral or whoever funeral it was. Like, come on now. Okay. Let's see.
You also have the wife, but you chose to marry Charlie Kirk. I can't. Yeah, that's on you. But I actually feel great sympathy for her as well, at the human level of being lost. That said, let's also not be naive or reductive or overly simplistic in our analysis. Charlie Kirk made a living trafficking in violence. Charlie Kirk made a living speaking in ways that created the very environment that led to his death. Charlie Kirk is known for spreading misinformation. Charlie Kirk is known for spreading lies. Charlie Kirk is known for celebrating Black death, Black misery, for demonizing and dehumanizing the most vulnerable among us. He is known for, I remember one time hearing Charlie Kirk talk about how Black people are better off under Jim Crow than they are now. He pathologizes or pathologized Black people, brown people, queer people, trans people. I hear him say that Palestinians aren't real people, that they don't exist. one of the things going around on the internet right now is an article from 2023 where Charlie Kirk said that gun deaths are unfortunate in his defense of the Second Amendment. Unfortunate, very dismissive, kind of poo-pooing the idea that people are dying because of the lack of gun control. The irony of his death in this way is not lost on me or those people who are circulating that article. Now, let me return to my first point. I don't find any pleasure in Charlie Kirk being killed. I don't think we should be celebrating his death. We certainly shouldn't be celebrating his murder. I think it's okay today, yesterday, or tomorrow to say how you feel about Charlie Kirk. If you felt like Charlie Kirk was racist, you can say it. If you felt like he was a piece of garbage, you can say it. If you felt like he was divisive and racist and responsible for so many of the problems that this country is wrestling with, or at least he's not responsible for them, but reflective of the problems that this country is wrestling with, you can say it. I don't think as a Black person or as a brown person or as an Arab or as a Muslim or as a trans person or as a poor person that you have some duty to remain silent when Charlie Kirk dies.
So I'm glad he said that. He kind of redeemed himself a little bit. But I still think that's besides the point. And I do think that in the case of he was there further radicalizing all these white MAGA Utah-ian youth, I do think that that is something you're responsible for. The man that shot Trump, that shot at Trump, that grazed him, was a Republican. They mentioned it in the Lawrence anyway, the Lawrence O'Donnell video, right? The United Healthcare CEO and the man Luigi Andrew, whatever his name, right? Again, my issue is the denial. If that didn't make them be like, oh. And it did. They was grouped together. You could see it and tell it all on the news. It is. But why is that so removed? Why do you think that's so removed from it happening to y'all little MAGA savior or spokesman? Like, this is for real, you know?
Pretended he was a hero. I had this conversation a few weeks ago about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a piece of garbage. It's okay to say that.
And Hulk Hogan, and they was just all talking about Hulk Hogan.
Now we can all make our decisions about what decorum looks like and what respect looks like and what civility looks like. We can all have those conversations, and we may not all land in the same spot. But it is, if you're a public figure who made their living saying public things, you have a right, or you should expect to hear public responses to your death. But there's a second issue here, and that is the fact that Charlie Kirk didn't die from a heart attack. He didn't die slipping on a banana peel, right? Like, Charlie Kirk didn't die accidentally, where the only thing we have to talk about is the death. In this case, we also have to talk about the how. We have to talk about the fact that Charlie Kirk was murdered in an act of political violence, and we must absolutely denounce any situation where we normalize people being killed for what they believe. Again, I think Charlie Kirk was a terrible person. He was affable, he was nice, or polite, rather. He was.
Okay. We cannot normalize people being killed for what they do. Talking Palestine, the civil rights movement. Marsha P. Johnson was killed in Palestine. My point is has it not already been normalized again? Minnesota House Speaker again, with the acts of political violence we've seen over the last few years, has it not already been normalized? Has it not been normalized since the foundation of the country? Even that, is it a denial? And that's part of why they don't trust politics. People don't trust politics or politicians or representatives or even educators and organizers. It's because having where even when we are doing the work, you can still be a part of things not changing in the ways that need to change, or still being a part in a tool for the denial. And Mark Martin is very educated. I'm not attacking him. Like I said, I have respect for him. But to say we should normalize it, it's already normalized. That's my point. It's already normalized, right? They normalized it. They normalized it. Trump posts pictures of, like ALC, I think, and other people of people doing things to them. He tells the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. For what moment? For the moment when the National Guard troops decide to say that they're not going to invade and they're not going to break the Constitution by having them activated on U.S. soil or against citizens. When they stand up to you, or when the Supreme Court stands up to you, or a lower court stands up to you, and then you're telling the Cowboys to stand back and stand by. At what moment are you going to activate them and 1,600 people be let out of jail after this election? Is it not, or is letting 1,600 people out of the out of jail rewarding them? Ghislaine Maxwell rewarding them for their crimes? Is it not already normalized?
Was willing to engage people in debate, but he also repeatedly suggested or stated things that suggested he didn't think that the blacks and the browns were of equal intelligence as the whites. So there's a way that even his civility and politeness was used to shroud something deeply perverse. So again, you have a right to hate Charlie Kirk. You have a right to dislike Charlie Kirk. You have a right to denounce Charlie Kirk before he died, after his death, tomorrow, yesterday, or next month. But we don't want to advocate a world where Charlie Kirk gets killed because of what he said. Now we can point out the fact that you reap what you sow. We can point out the fact that there's a deep and dark paradox, or maybe even irony, about the fact that he is received
again. The normalization and the intellectuals and the organizers and the college professors and the academic commentary in judging the culture and the response in these moments. I don't give a fuck when nobody thinks about this stuff. I don't give a fuck if they're doing it. I got on this live and I care about what it seems to be the expectations and the expectations on people that we're talking. And that is where we should always be, in my opinion. And again, that is why people don't trust these people in even when they do good work or been around for a long time. Mark Lamont Hill, Sacarito, you mentioned Candace, and I wanted to come back to that in some of these other comments. Mark Lamont Hill was one of the first people to give Candace a bigger platform with him and Dr. Cornel West. I think Cornel West would have made a fab president or VP. He was running for president, but why we don't merge tickets and stuff, that always irritates me. Like, Anyway, I knew Kamala and Pam wasn't the right fix. Anyway, but no, but he was one of the first people to platform Candace, one, to our Black community, and two, with the type of platform that he had. And so, again, you're talking about normalization, you're talking about what people can and can't say or feel or how they should present or how they should talk about it. No, baby, I'm telling you, don't sit and watch that video on repeat. And I'm telling you, we need to start talking about what we're going to see for us and the plan. You know, and I am going to, like, you know, have to start wrapping it up eventually. But anyway, you mentioned Candace and when you're talking about like safety and events, particularly with the events, given that this happened outside, how it happened, this happened in so many people, how it happened. And again, it's something that I definitely have worried about at every event that we've had since the pandemic and since the political climate has gotten to the place that it has gotten to. I wonder about even just using our pictures in our social media content. Is that naming people and outing people and opening them up for the type of harassment and threats that we already get as advocates? In the type of harassment for us as Black trans women, for me as Black trans women, it be sexual comments and harassment on our business pages, on our organization pages, if people looking to hook up, it be all these different things. And so, again, I took it, but I don't. What happened in Utah, that's for them to sort out and figure out who did it and deal with and you know what I mean, have some therapists at that university, you know what I mean, for free for like a few weeks, you know what I mean, and you know, identifying people that was there and interviewing them kids and like, you know, like what, you know, like it's a lot of work to be done. But again, I don't feel like that's on us or that it matters. It doesn't matter if we say something bad about him or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it wasn't about him. And if it was something high level and if it was something of a distraction, then they was willing to talk about it on some level, in some type of way, in some type of deal that was fair. So what do it matter? It don't matter what, you know, Black people is tweeting or saying about him or people making jokes or people, you know, whatever. Um, that doesn't matter. It matters that the people that were there and that people on the internet and that the fascist government and that the terrorist, the domestic terror entities will be emboldened. And I was really scared about that when I went outside. And just sticking on events and stuff, you know, I have been very worried about it. About should I even post? If we even continue to use these platforms, to use the Facebook, to use the Twitter, to use the whatever. I'm worried about people on Twitter. I feel like complete sidebar, but that other thing want to get rid of porn altogether from public. And so why would Elon Musk in public 2025 people there allow all the porn? If he says he's going to use it for other people, it's like, oh, things. Yo, there's gonna be other shit. Identify the inside of your business. It's a 3D system, motherfucker. What do you mean? It's gonna be you. Like, we have to get a grip and get out of the social media warp and watch the fucking news. Like, people be like, I mean, of course the news is like boring. Of course it can be emotionally draining and tiring and traumatic sometimes. But we fucking for real. We grown. Like, we grown as fuck. Like, you should watch the news. And if it's a shooting or if it's something sad or you know, whatever kind of sad story, it should be something that you have a reaction to. And you should know what's going on locally and nationally. I don't really watch the local news. I can't say that. And people do all the time, especially here in Milwaukee. That's something we say all the time is, oh, watching the news is too traumatic. Oh, it's too negative. Oh, it's a bad portrayal of Black people constantly. Oh, all these things. But you should still know what's going on. And if people need to joke or need to Google or need to ask ChatGPT who the fuck a Charlie Kirk is and why should I give a fuck and what was his legacy and look up his comments for themselves and come to learn about his bigotry, then they should be able to do that without feeling judged or feeling like whatever, like mentally with anything. You know what I mean? It's meme videos and stuff with the actual shooting clip moment in them already circulating on Twitter with Ariana Grande and funny videos and music and stuff. Like, it's white people making fun of him too and talking about the things he said and did. So I don't give a fuck what nobody said on the internet. I give a fuck about if they finna kill motherfuckers in Utah or hurt people in Utah that is people of color or queer people, again, while they're going through their manhunt or doing the thing for the same manhunt tactic. And, you know, okay. I'm gonna play him just a little bit more and then I do want to like zero in just for a moment on safety and what a real plan can come to be. Because I just have not seen the conversation. I have not been invited to the conversation. I have not seen others having the conversation. I've heard powerful people and people at foundations and people running organizations and doing funding and different things. Hey, I mean, like, tell me that they're still in the dial. Like, tell me that they don't think it's going to impact them or all these things. Like, ain't nobody, like I said, that's all the story, baby. Ain't nobody going to look out for us like us. And ain't nobody going to just sit around and wait till things get so bad that we really can't even do anything. Like, where is the action?
Even much of what he put out in the world. I have colleagues and friends who have been doxxed by him, who've been lied on by him, who've been put on watchdog lists by him, whose lives were turned upside down and ruined by Charlie Kirk. I get it. I'm not going to tell those people that you have to pretend that you like them or that you have to remain silent when he's a public figure. You don't. But we, again, do not want to advocate or endorse political violence. Now, let's keep going because I don't want to just keep repeating myself. I want to keep going. Let me push this a step further. Let's not pretend that political violence starts and ends when your favorites get shot or when your favorites get killed. What do I mean by that? Well, first, let's talk about how the media, let's talk about how politicians, let's talk about how the right responded when Democratic State House Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband were murdered this year, actually, a few months ago, right? She's a member of the Minnesota State House. She was with her husband. She was a speaker of the State House, and she was murdered. And I didn't hear people on the right decrying political violence. I didn't hear them denouncing political violence or expressing such profound outrage. I got nothing from them. I got absolutely nothing from 99% of them. So it's a little frustrating to hear people only be outraged or disturbed by political violence when it's on their side of the aisle. We got to be honest about that. Because you got people like Elon Musk calling the left the party of murder. First, the left isn't the party, but and the Democrats ain't the left. But let's not get into the reductive blame game of saying the Democrats caused this or the Republicans caused it. We don't even know. Again, we literally don't know what happened with Charlie Kirk. For all we know, it could be a right-wing politician or a right-wing activist or a right-wing zealot who doesn't feel like Charlie Kirk was conservative enough, for all we know. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. Let's wait for all the information to come out before we make a judgment about what happened in terms of the specifics. But again, what we do know is that when people on the left have been killed in similar fashion, there's been silence from the right. And honestly, silence in most of mainstream media. So let's not pretend that there's not a partisan dimension or a political dimension or both to. Okay, right? Like Speaker Melissa Hortman. When that happens, it wasn't a whole lot of big media outcry and outpour about that. They talked about that for maybe one news cycle and moved right on. I definitely did think that was really great. And, I knew that she had been shot, but I didn't know later on, like maybe a couple weeks later or something, or did it? So I really looked at it about if her husband was also killed. And that other people were shot too. Like, they just were shooting at the CDC. And they did not spend no time on that. They didn't. They just was it literally went into like the next day and the next news pieces. They didn't, you know what I mean? Because she wasn't celebritized, she wasn't famous. The responses to Charlie Kirk's murder. Let's also be mindful of the fact that political violence can't be reduced just to attacks on politicians. What do you think is happening to protesters here in the United States? Political violence. What do you think is happening when the U.S. is giving money, weapons, and diplomatic cover to Israel as it prosecutes a genocide in Gaza? It's political violence. What are we talking about? When hundreds of journalists are being killed in Gaza, hundreds of journalists are being killed in Gaza, it's political violence. In Qatar, we just saw Israel engage in an act of political violence, ostensibly targeted toward Hamas leadership. Political violence. Okay. So I'm getting sleepy now, and I got my event tomorrow in this life. But I'm gonna wrap it up. By talking about
what a real thing is. It's been showing Apple Pop highlights. Yeah, in the beginning of a, no, I don't know. They showed it all the time. I don't know. They show my fault. Anyway, in the beginning, first season, they're like, all you need to do to bring a civilization to its knees is mess up the food chain supply. They want chaos. And again, when we're in distraction, or when we're talking about what a distraction could be and what obvious distraction by this White House and the first term of the House, it could be many different things. It could be even saying something controversial. It could be amplifying racists and bigots and these people. It could be all these different things. It could be the insurrection. They use many different things. And I think when we talk about safety, that schools have to be a part of that. Part of the new schools and something that we have to be on. But you know, we're part of a new food campaign, and you know, it's very important that the food institute, food advocacy institute last year, and you have different levels of experience in that area. And when we get requests for help, more often for me as a research navigator, often than anything else, more often than domestic violence, more often that's the discrimination of how to reach out for food, because you might can find somebody to stay with, or you can affect work and find somebody to stay with, or you can whatever you need to do for housing. You can work and find some money, or do something and find some money, or work odd jobs, or work whatever for some money. You can try to fight back if you're experiencing violence. You can whatever, but when it's food and you don't have no options, that brings people to a place not of humility, but of being being willing to reach past their barrier enough to ask for help. And I struggle with asking people for help. So I understand that barrier and what it can look like for people, but I think food is a very big piece of this and a big piece of what they will use to control us. And again, we're talking about 5 ticket sales for us in Milwaukee. It ain't hardly even that many grocery stores left. Yet we're a growing city. Yet we're politically in play in a way that we have been for years, even when whatever his name is, the tall, skinny white man who was the speaker that was from the time. The speaker of the Congress National oh, Ryan? Anywho, even then, we wasn't politically on the table like how we have been the last couple of years, and how we was in this past election, and how we was in that was before 2020 at this time. And so I think, you know, food is very, very important. So I would say that we need to be able to learn to grow and learn to have our own food system as a very big, huge piece of it. They're cutting school lunch programs and breakfast and after school snacks and lunch all over the country for kids. They already was feeding them a cold flour tortilla, a uncooked flour tortilla, and a piece of lunch meat and calling it a sandwich. Before Michelle did her food stuff. And so the community food will be a big, huge tactic that we do need for ourselves how to continue that. That's the reason why Black people made soul food. That's the reason why we have heirloom seeds and legacy in food and suffer around food is because it was a tool that they would use to grow up. And they would obviously like parts of animals, like parts of produce, you know, to access. I think we have to acknowledge that funding and philanthropy and infrastructure is not but also getting back to grassroots fundraising and people actually supporting that. Kamala raised $1 billion and they got her out here cutting in the book. That's her first thing off. So we have to figure out how we're gonna have some type of economic stability for ourselves and create more Black businesses or trans businesses and things like that to be able to survive and to be able to employ people that look like us. And I'm so tired of activists, academics, celebrities, whoever, getting. You can't do everything. You can't save every person by yourself or nothing. You can't give all your money away. You can't, you know, like not take care of yourself or not do the things you need to do. But I'm tired of celebrity activists and influencers who ain't doing nothing on the ground. Saw me Kamala at real rallies and real organizing and real programs and really participating and being a part of the community and bringing those resources with her and bringing that platform with her and show me, you know what I mean, Obama not just investing in the foundation in Chicago, but investing in Milwaukee, investing across the Midwest, investing across the country. You know, we can do these things and we can build our own system, but we have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to work together. We have to be able to realize that you have to be mission focused. I'm still a young woman. I have sacrificed many things over the last few years to be mission focused, and I have to deal with the consequences of me making them sacrifices. Of the FOMO, the fear of losing out, as well as actually losing out and actually missing milestones and moments with my family and moments with people I love and being able to show up the ways that I really want to show up. To stay mission focused and to make sure that the major things that I needed to make sure I did, and that I can continue to do things, regardless of how I suffer my mental health or regardless of whatever area. And so, you know, I think we have to start to develop those systems. Again, the way they did in Black Wall Street is also the way they did at post-reconstruction when we had Black government officials and when we had and supported them, and when we had dentists and business owners and doctors and Black hospitals and Black cab and bus companies and movie theaters and all these things ourselves because one, that's what every other community does for their community and keeps the money in their community. And two, we just have to be able to develop something, and we have to support what the work that people have been doing. Again, when I said some people ain't gonna be able to just pivot and do these fantastical acts of organizing out of thin air because we're deeply invested in work that we've been working on for years. And it's not to say that we don't care, or black women don't care, or this or that, or this or that. But baby, at the end of the day, it got to be food on the table. At the end of the day, we have to do different things to make sure that we're surviving and we're moving forward. And that's not going to necessarily look like how we want it to look if we can't build power for ourselves. We need to have our own tracking system, like GPS for each other, and have access to that. You can have your Find My iPhone on, but if you never get nobody the password, you never get your parents or your loved one the password, or you know what I mean, had that conversation or sent that message, then no one's going to be able to find you. We need to communicate with each other. We need to love one another. We need to be willing to again sacrifice and go out our way for people, even when it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It makes you question. I be questioning. This what the fuck am I doing every day? But I know what I'm doing because I've been committed to the same mission for 7 years. And have seen the results in the fruits to the labor of my blood health outcomes and narrative based upon the work that we've been doing. In the way that we've been doing in the non-palatable, ghetto, unapologetically black way we've been doing. And funders and stuff, we can get our own private funders. We can get our own relationships with new foundations, with different places, with places that are thinking more radically, with not doing all. It's constantly this conversation of pushing the barrel. But maybe if we do our research, maybe if we invest in some of them funding networks and stuff that you have to pay dues to be included in and different things like that, it's definitely still work happening, and it's definitely still organizations and foundations with a point. And how do we learn to build a relationship for ourselves and it's kind of new? You know what I mean? How do we get past some of where we maybe have been stuck? I have been stuck trying to get some major funding for the trans community in Milwaukee for years. I did everything I could to be in a place to be largely focused on funding. And still, that money's not coming in here to the ground in Milwaukee. Yeah, we need to do that. We need to be able to own a system that does that, own communication networks. Like, I have a fan base. I like fan base. I don't really like I live to it or use it. I don't really, go back and forth with social media, even though I'm serious at it. And especially as a person in my life, I don't even be posting because I'm so tired as an activist and as a public figure. Like, I'm so tired of people just making assumptions and saying comments to me and doing weird things based off of social media. Like, damn, like, I be chilling. I don't even post nothing no more but work and Bible scriptures because, child, like, it's too much. And it's oversaturated and it's swallowing for hours and all these things. And you have to start digesting from some of these platforms at least in some type of conscious way. Not saying that they're going to completely cut out Facebook, completely cut out every single thing. But in some type of conscious level way, we have to start navigating and investing our time and energy and money into platforms that are for us. and creating our own platforms and Facebook news, talking about politics. Like, yeah, it's Facebook news. Like, what is Slack now? Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Let's have some type of dialogue. Let's engage. Let's throw some ideas out there. Let's do the things that we know leads to good organizing. Educating ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. It's things that I said on here that I knew was true, but I still Googled them to make sure that I was saying it right. Like, you don't have to be overly, you don't have to be overly humble to fact check some shit. Like, come on now. We have to educate ourselves. This is sort of my word, and Amy Coney Barrett, they both was like, you should read the Supreme Court majority opinions and the defense. I never read the majority opinions of the defense, but bitch, I'm willing to if that's gonna help something or help me learn something. Sure, you know, or you know what I mean. If I come across it, or if you can look it up, I mean, you can look it up. You can look up all the but you get what I'm saying? We have to educate ourselves. We have to do our own fact checking. We have to correct people and not be afraid to correct people and not be necessarily confrontational or having an issue or not understanding when misinformation is present. So we have to address. We need to stop speculating. Some people be speculating stuff they know is not true. And just like a Charlie Kirk, people will believe them because of their platform. Housing has to be a part of that plan. We see abandoned buildings all over our communities. Been there for years and years and years until again it's bought by somebody out of state or somebody out the country or some big private realty LLC or something. You need to have people who have the experiences that a lot of people have, like home ownership and tax help and different things like that. Help people. And again, remain invested in your community, even if that's not your path. You know what I mean? Again, as an activist, as a Black woman, it's a lot of things that I've been doing for. But as an activist, some of the things that some of the people, you know, that I work for and people work for, definitely have experienced things that I haven't had to experience. And for multiple different reasons, you know. And I've experienced things they haven't had to experience. But I still go out of my way. I still go out of my way. And we can't all just, you can't say you're mission focused. You can't say that you're activist. You can't say that you're doing something if it's not community or if it's not impact. And if there's no connecting with people and uplifting people with helping you to the next day. Self-defense classes, arming ourselves, not being on the streets when the Republican National Criminal Convention came here. We said, don't go on the streets, and they killed the Black man with police officers that they shipped in from other states, from Indiana, I think. And they killed this man in the park. we have to be able to do that, but also be mindful. Like, yes, you can, while we still can, try to get you, something to protect yourself with. But that's not for everybody. If you still got to walk around in the hood. And if you have a young, you have kids and stuff, you need to run lock. You need to have a process and a plan for if you need to access it and if you need to use it, and you need to be, doing it in a conscious way. You need to, yes, defend yourself if someone is doing something to you or threatening your life, for sure. But also, maybe we don't go out all the time. Maybe we don't go on Water Street all the time or go party and GPS and give our locations out and all these things all the time. Maybe we change our habits. Maybe we change some things so that you're not in confrontation with the National Guard or the ICE. You're not exposing yourself to certain situations. I think those are some of the types of things that I would like to see in a real plan. And, I think it gets going for hours and hours to get myself together. But I just had to get on here to talk about that. I have been planning things for my podcast for the El Halo Show for quite a while. I have been planning a lot of things for several years, projects and programming and different things. And so I'm constantly in the process of trying to bring that to y'all. But I will be back in the podcasting show. I honestly was going to come back. It's been multiple times since I was going to come back with my podcast. But I want to do it better and nicer and different things like that. And I want to have guests at some point and different things and different parts of my office area and just different things. But I've had some content planned out for the podcast for a while, so maybe we'll get to that. I was really kind of trying it out this last time, still in the process of just trying it out. And I wanted to be the first season of everything, so I wanted to be like entertainment and politics. But honestly, I don't even care about no entertainment. Like, girl, Beyonce and couple talking like, I love these. But baby, it's too much going on. I can't give no fuck. Big baby, just like the money, like I said, girl, they canceled that job I was supposed to get at the beginning of the summer. Baby, I couldn't even sit down all summer until I found me some more porn. Until I found me some more work and some more porn. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't even process nothing until I found it. And so that's the same way I am in my spirit about politics and have been for the last several years. Like, I don't even give a fuck from myself. Like, come on now. And I'm not saying be like me or don't self-care, but don't, whatever, to just do more work or take on more labor. But come on now. We cannot wait until there's no more options left. And we have to coalition build and we have to work together. And again, these conversations will just not happen. I ain't been invited to no 3,000 person town hall here in Milwaukee. Or ask to speak on these issues because they don't want to hear what a black trans woman who looks like me got to say. Even in the community, even in the philanthropy space, even in the nonprofit space, we're getting silenced, we're getting shut down. As if, baby, Trump not gonna come and shut all you motherfuckers down. It needs to be what is he gonna do before that happens with real action. And if you call yourself an activist or if you call yourself an ally, that means that you need to be doing action. I take a couple days, mostly for bouts of manic depression, But I took a couple days. I unplug or whatever, you know. But I still do the work and stay committed and stay mission focused like I do. And again, we talk about who emulates the spirit of the civil rights movement and who emulates the spirit of the sacrifices that was laid out before us from the ancestors and the ancestors. You need to commit. You need to show up. You need to stay engaged. You need to start it is. And it is. When I really sat down and started processing this shooting, I started to have a panic attack. Because like I said, I already been worried for years about our events. I already been worried for years about me and all the trans advocates. There's hundreds of videos and posts and flyers and events and pictures and all kind of things on the internet about me. One of the first things I did was speak out against Trump. One of the first things I did on my own was speak out against Trump about the trans military ban in 2016 or whenever 2017, whenever he did first we did it. So I'm gonna leave it there. I appreciate y'all so much for watching. This is like the most comments I ever had. So I definitely do truly appreciate y'all. And you know, we just have to remain mission focused and do the work and develop a plan. And with our powers to manifest and with our powers to see through, with our powers to survive, we just need that's actually actionable, that actually encompasses and has the intersectionality and the nuance of our identity as part of Black diaspora and diaspora. We need to actually engage. We need to actually develop programs and resources and funding and system. We need to do it quickly. World War One started with the man in like Austria, I think, getting shot. Like this is serious. Good night, y'all. Love y'all. Thanks y'all for coming. I'm glad I did this, and I'm glad that y'all supported and a lot of times I think it be feeling like I'm shouting into a boy trying to do the work. Why do I have to argue about stuff that is proven fact and that is stuff that has been proven from me, by me, from my career, about politics, about other things that we were debating years ago? Why does it have to be the same things that we're still presenting themselves as barriers from inside and outside the community? Let me tell you something. Kamala would have had a Oprah got a son. If y'all let Black trans women have more power in our leadership, I would have had a plan, an actionable plan. A year ago, I was trying to make a coalition. A year ago. When I did my podcast last time, I did it because of the way the election was going. Not for views, not for social media, content money, not for a platform. But because we're just like, child, I feel like we need somebody to break these things down for our community, and I'm going to continue to try to do that. And continue to do it in an issue-based way, a relevant issue-based way, and note that the violence that we see in our community every day, and the violence against Black children, and the violence against people across the country, is a sign of the times, a sign of the violence of fascism. It's all good night. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. I'm glad to your email, please. Okay. Thank you.